Hey there. Welcome to episode 73 of Toy Talk with Mike and Chad. I'm Mike.
Chad.
And the toys that we're going to be talking about today are primarily some Super7 ReAction Figures. I do have some new Godzilla reaction figures, but I have enough of them to kind of be their own video, and I think I have a couple more coming next month, so I'm going to reserve those. But I did get a couple other reaction figures from a couple of miscellaneous brands just this week. So, yeah, we already shot 2 episodes tonight.
Yeah.
G.I. Joe, Marvel Legends. And then we thought, whatever, it's early enough. Why don't we tackle some of these guys? So this might be a short episode. So, yeah, I've got a couple of miscellaneous reaction figures. But before we get into those, you brought something along, which isn't really my thing. So why don't you explain to it what we got here?
So this is a little bit out of my wheelhouse too. I've always had like an artistic side, and for years I was obsessed with like little miniature figures and how cool they look. Like I'm a big fan of Warcraft, and like I like orcs, I like skeletons, as I talk about often on the channel.
Yeah.
So this kind of took me by surprise. I went to this board game convention in the summer, and they had a little miniature painting workshop. So I always joke with my friends because I'm not the best at like dexterity games. I play a lot of board games, and I've got sausage fingers. Like these things can't hold a paintbrush. So it's often interesting to see how I can draw some things. Anyhow, I decided to try my luck at painting a miniature, and to my surprise, it actually came out pretty decent for like the first time ever doing it. And my friends,
is that still rattling around your car?
Yeah, I'm proud of it. So
I can't remember. You showed it to me when you first did it.
It's an orc. It's a little orc.
A little orc.
I'll send you a picture for an insert.
Yep.
So it wasn't terrible, and all my friends were like, wow, you're actually really good at that, so you should try it. So I was thinking about it for a while. Just got my retro pay with being back to work and everything, so I decided to buy a little Warhammer miniature set to take a shot at painting some of them. So I'm looking for some paint and some brushes in the next couple of days. And basically, they're little plastic minis that you take apart. It's like a model, and then you build them and paint them.
So these guys come apart?
Yeah.
Okay.
And technically, it's a tabletop war game where and this is where I'm lost. I'm just going to collect them and paint them. I'm not going to play them. But you have dice, you have rulers, you're measuring everything. It's like there's so much lore in this stuff, and I find that quite interesting. So I decided to go with the Orc Boys first, and I'll give it a go. But I don't think I'm going to get too crazy into it.
They just don't take up much room.
No, but it's expensive. Like,
how much was this?
This one was $55 for 11 minis, which isn't terrible. But then you have some of the other miniatures that are like 3 in a pack for like $100 because they're a little bigger, they're more complex.
Yeah.
I've been told by people that do play Warhammer or paint them that it does get expensive. Specifically the paints, because a little bottle is like $7.
And do we have a good spot around here? Like, I would think maybe Monsters Comic Lounge.
Monsters Comic Lounge, maybe, but the Deck Box on Brunswick Street does. Okay. And they actually, this is made by a company called Games Workshop. They actually have a store at the Halifax Shopping Center Annex.
Yeah, I've seen it, I guess. But
so I would probably search there for some of the paints, like a beginner kit. Okay. And if I don't like it, I don't like it, but I thought I'd give it a whirl.
Cool.
So if and when I get those painted, I'll bring them back on and update everyone. But I definitely don't need to go in super deep with these.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the space.
Yeah. I was thinking at least these things don't take up much
space.
because everything else we buy takes up a ton of space. Castles, and we shot an episode earlier tonight. We were talking about the new G.I. Joe Jeep. You know, these things are huge.
This is something that I could get like a nice little tabletop glass cabinet or something and put them in there.
Or even like just like a floating shelf.
Yeah.
If you got like a good foot wide floating shelf, that would you'd probably fit 50 of these guys on there.
Yep.
So yeah, that's cool.
That's my new thing. I guess I'll see how it goes. But
I don't think I would be good at painting them. I've never tried. I do have a bit of an artistic side, I like to think, as well, but not so much with painting. I have a good friend that's really into painting miniatures. And a couple of years ago, my friend Andrew passed away. And Andrew was a big dude. And there was speaking of reaction figures, we're tying this back around. Super7 had made a reaction figure of the Notorious B.I.G. And he had like a little cap on. And anyway, the way Biggie looked, Andrew dressed a lot like Biggie. And I was like, you know what? I want to buy that Notorious B.I.G. action figure. And I'd like to paint it into an Andrew that I could put in my collection to honor my friend. And I didn't even try to attempt to paint it myself. I bought the figure and I recruited my friend Adam, who does this all the time. And I said, will you paint this to look like my friend Andrew? And he did a very good job. But yeah, you have to really get in there, I would guess, with a little...
And that's the thing, again, with the size of my mitts. I thought it would be challenging, but I guess it all depends on the type of brush you're using. So there's super thin line brushes. There's bigger brushes for like more surface area. I have to go into one of those shops and talk to the guys about it.
The fact that you tell me they come apart, that would make it easier, I think. Like, looking at these guys here, a lot of them are, like, they've got, like, bare arms. And so, like, I'd be worried if I was painting their arms gray or green, I'd accidentally dip green onto his chest. But, yeah, if you can take the whole arm off and paint that green separately and then plug it back in when it dries, that would make it seem easier to do.
Yeah, I think most people assemble it and then paint.
Okay.
You can also... I've been doing a little research on this. Some people glue them in, so they're a little more stable. But yeah, it's definitely going to take some time and research to get into it. But I figured, hey, I have some spare money that I didn't have. Seems like a good time to pick it up and give it a shot.
Yeah, something to do. Pass the time. And because the problem with a lot of these other action figures that we buy, the extent of them occupying our time is just this. We show you them on a video, but then they just go on the shelf and that's where they stay. Like, at least that, kind of like a Lego kit, you're doing something. You're spending hours engaging with it. So yeah, even though it was $50, if it takes up a couple of weekends for you or something, then yeah, it's an activity. And
this could be a total bust. So that's why I'm not going all in on like the paints yet. I picked up the cheapest one I could find. I'm gonna go get the starter paint and tool sets, which I think is like $60, and then it comes with 6 or 7 paints, and then just go from there. And if I don't like it, it's easy enough to offload because I can sell it in the hobby groups.
Yeah, that's cool. Something different. Maybe you've widened our audience now to the miniature nerds out there.
Probably not, but hey, welcome.
So yeah, now we'll go to my reaction figures, and these are a little bigger than miniatures, but they're still pretty simple. The whole idea of a reaction figure is that they are modeled after the old Kenner style, like Star Wars figures or Fisher-Price Adventure people, those 3 3/4 inch figures from back in the 70s and 80s. Super7 does these, and they have done a ton of them. They do like every property under the sun, and now other companies have started following suit. So there's a couple of different companies doing this sort of thing. And yeah, my collection is ever growing. But one of the things that's always kind of frustrated me about my reaction figure collection is because they are so small, they're a little harder to display because I feel they kind of get lost when you put a bunch of them on a shelf together. So I have mostly 6-inch figures on display in my room here. So I was buying new reaction figures, and then I'd immediately open them up, and then I'd put them in a bin.
Yeah.
And it just feels a little bit like anticlimactic to get a toy, show it on video, and then put it in a bin where I can't even enjoy it visually. So I have been getting into displaying them more and more. I've been ordering display stands. Every time I place an order with Big Bad Toy Store, I order some display stands. I ordered some figures, these ones that I'm going to show you today, directly from Super7. And Super7 has the stands available on their website. So I threw in a couple packs of stands with them. So I still have a lot of figures to go. I shudder to think of how much it's going to cost me just to buy display bases. Because these bases aren't cheap. But yeah. So I'll just quickly touch on that. I've showed you these before when I first bought them, because these have existed for years.
Yep.
So yeah, this is just the back. I already opened it up, so you can see it comes on a little blister card. There was 10 stands in the front. One thing I find interesting is it comes with 9 clear stands, and then there's one exclusive color that they show you, so you get one colored stand. To be honest, I don't love that. I'd rather just
all the same color,
all clear. But fine, you want to give me one color stand. But on the back of the package, it says, collect them all. There's, like 8 different color stands. And every pack I've ordered, I get the same color stand. I get orange every time. Which is
I can see them all over there.
Which is probably the ugliest of all the colors.
I'd like the blue or the
blue or the green.
It's not my...
Or even the pink. Like, pink would look nice because I have Gem and the Hologram reaction figures. Orange doesn't really go with anything. So yeah, I now have 5 orange. So I bought 5 of these packs, which I thought it was random. And to be honest, I bought 1 pack from Big Bad Toy Store, and I got the orange. And I was like, oh, well, my first chance out was orange. Which I also thought was a little odd, because whenever you see these on display on websites, the kind of stock image they show is always one with the orange. So then I got the orange. I was like, okay, maybe that's the most common. But then I ordered 2 more from Big Bad Toy Store, and I got 2 more orange. And I was like, that seems weird to me now. And then it dawned on me that it says, exclusive color in the package. I was like, maybe Super7 sent different retailers different colors. So maybe Big Bad gets orange, and maybe Entertainment Earth sells green. I don't know. So then I ordered these figures today that I just got. I ordered them last week. They came in. They took them like 5 days to get here. But I ordered them directly from Super7, and I said, you know what? I'm going to order some stands directly from Super7 and see what I get. Orange. Two more orange. So it's like, yeah, that seems to be the only color that exists.
It's a scam.
Yeah.
You need to buy more.
So I don't know how I'm going to get a green or a blue one or whatever else. But anyway, say la vie. Another thing I want to quickly mention.
Diamond.
So because these stands are not cheap, and so like that, I think they retail for anywhere from $10 to $13 American. So that when you do the conversion, we're getting close to, let's say, $16-17 Canadian. And then there's shipping, and then there's customs. And so then, let's just say a pack costs me $20. Like, that's $2 a stand. And I have a couple hundred reaction figures that I'm like, ugh. So anyway, they are nice stands. They're a little kind of octagonal shape, and they have a little lip on them that says reaction. So they're distinct. They're nice looking. But I thought maybe I can get a cheaper stand that works. And I definitely do have some stands from other companies that I use for my other toy lines. I have a bunch of clear round ones that I bought years ago for my smaller G.I. Joes. They're called ProTech. I've since taken my small G.I. Joes off of display, but they still work with my G.I. Joe Classified. I just have to put one stand under each of their feet. But anyway, if you go online to buy ProTech stands, they're not much cheaper than the reaction figure stands. You're still paying $1 American per stand, and then conversion and the shipping. Anyway, so recently I went on eBay and I bought a pack of stands from China. And I thought, well, this is 60 stands, and it was like $20 Canadian or something. So I was like, if this works, that's fantastic. I'm not going to buy the reaction figure stands anymore. Anyway, these are garbage. So
spoiler alert.
Yeah, it was only $20, but these things, I've tried them with everything I own. Like the little peg is so.
Oh, that's so stupid.
It's so narrow. Like every other figure, like it kind of just. It's like this, the figure goes, and there's just so much space, so it doesn't hold anything up. So like any figure just topples right over. They're useless. And I thought maybe even some of the reaction figures don't stand on the reaction figure stands. And it's usually the female figures like Scarlet from G.I. Joe because they have smaller feet. They have like high heels. And I thought maybe it'll work with this. Nope. Like these don't work with anything. I tried them with vintage Star Wars even. And, that's what they sold these as. These were like display stands for 3 3/4 inch figures. And I think they showed a Star Wars figure in the picture. And yeah, nothing stands on these things. So, it was only $20, but still pretty annoying.
Still annoying. You tried to flip them.
Yeah, maybe you can use them for your miniatures or something. I don't know.
They come with bases.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's not very exciting. So one of the first reaction figures I'm going to talk about here is a figure I've had for a while. And initially I was going to save it for another video because this was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. Now, the thing with the San Diego Comic-Con exclusives as well is pretty much
never know.
Well, it's also like they're not really exclusive. They're not easy to get. They don't show up at retail. But I bought a bunch of things that were San Diego exclusives this year. But I got them from various sources from all over the place. And originally I thought I would do a video just called My San Diego Comic-Con Haul. One of them was the Cobra Commander, Once a Man mutated Cobra Commander. But we decided to just review him with our latest G.I. Joe video. Another one I got was the Death's Head Marvel Legend, which I just reviewed with my Marvel Legends figure video. So I've kind of pieced it out. And then all the other reaction figures I got a couple of, I think 4 reaction figures, and they're all Godzilla. So I thought, well, maybe I'll just do a Godzilla reaction figure video, which left this last guy kind of stranded because he didn't really fit in with any of those other videos. So this was a reaction figure I bought, San Diego exclusive. It is a G.I. Joe Snake Eyes. I have been buying all the reaction figures from G.I. Joe. It seems like it's kind of fizzled out now, though, because they've replaced it with the Reaction Plus.
Yeah.
So they're bringing back the G.I. Joe O-Ring. So it's the construction of action figures from the 80s. Because there was a lot of people really vocal online about how much they hated these figures. I was of the mind of like, yeah, if you don't like them, then why don't you just shut up about them? Don't buy them. I liked these figures a lot. Sure, G.I. Joe, what made it popular back in the day was that it was more articulated than the Star Wars figures and all that stuff. But those figures still exist. Go enjoy them from the 80s. But yeah, this was a new take on them. They were done in that Kenner style. I liked them. I thought they were a lot of fun. Anyway, so I already have a pretty standard Snake Eyes. I have this exact figure in color. This one here, it's the, I don't remember what they call it, like the artist edition or the black and white edition or whatever. But not only is the card art black and white, and it's got some like instructions written in the margin. It's kind of like, you ever seen those
comic book panel?
Those artist edition books where they show the original artwork before it was. Anyway, so that's what this card art looks like. It looks like some artist edition. Like they took the original artwork and still got little notes from the editor or something in the side. And then the action figure is a repaint of the action figure I previously had in like gray and black. And now he's in like kind of white and tan. And he's cool.
Actually, I have a whole book that is like this. When I kickstarted the Scott Snyder, Tony Daniel Noctera comic a couple years ago, one of the things from the Kickstarter was a book with all original artwork, and it actually talked about the writing process and the drawing process. So basically the writer will write a bunch of stuff on the side of the panel saying like, I want the guy to be in this kind of pose doing this, and this is the message for the drawing, like the background
or instructions of
exactly maybe, so like that's kind of cool. I like how they did this.
Me too. And like that's the most famous issue of G.I. Joe. It's issue 21, known as the Silent Issue. It was the first issue that introduced Storm Shadow and showed you that there was a link between Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. which is now basically the core element of the G.I. Joe mythology, but it all happened in that one issue.
It was the Arashikage.
Yeah, the spoiler alert, the issue ends. So there's no text in the whole issue. That's why it's called the silent issue.
Yeah.
As Scarlet is kidnapped by Cobra, Snake Eyes has to infiltrate Cobra headquarters. And while he's in there, he encounters this ninja wearing white, who's the first time we ever met him. And they fight. And then at the end, Snake Eyes rescues Scarlet and he escapes. And then they show a final kind of split screen between Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. And Snake Eyes' uniform is torn. And you see he's got this tattoo on his forearm, which we've never seen his bare skin before. And Storm Shadow, who has these wrappings around his arms, his wrappings are all hanging off and blown in the wind. And you can see he has the same tattoo on his forearm. So that was kind of like, whoa, shocker. Who is this new ninja? And what is his connection to Snake Eyes? So yeah, very famous comic. Very cool comic. You can see they have some panels from the comic reprinted on the back of the card. And anyway, I open 99% of my reaction figures. I used to pin a lot of them to my wall. If you watch my old videos before I painted the walls green and everything, the walls were covered in just carded action figures. But once I decided to kind of paint the walls and take all the carded figures down, it was either kind of tuck them away or open them up. So I opened up most of them. This one here, I haven't decided what I'm going to do with it yet. I like the card.
I would keep that one carded.
And I might. So that's why he's still in his card, even though I've had him for like...
And it's not even punched at the top. That's cool.
Yeah, not punched. So, yeah, so pretty cool. Snake Eyes. Now, these next ones here, maybe I'll start with... These guys are a lot of fun. I don't know if you're a big fan of this movie.
I'm not, but I know who
Have you seen it?
Yeah, a long time ago.
No, you need to rewatch it, man. I have... These are brand new reaction figures. These just went on sale. Like, I'm going to say last week, but by the time you watch this video, it'll probably have been like a month and a half ago because we shot 3 videos tonight. It takes me time to edit these things, and I'm going to start with the G.I. Joe one and then the Marvel Legend one or whatever. So yeah, it'll be a while before you see this video. But as I sit here with it right now, this figure was just released like a week ago. I ordered it the day it came out, and they shipped it to me promptly. So these are from the movie Spinal Tap. So I have got all 3 members, all 3 core members of the band. One of the running jokes in the movie is that their drummers keep dying in tragic circumstances. So yeah, there is no kind of core drummer to Spinal Tap. But I think it is a hilarious movie. I love it. I forget what year it's from. Maybe like 81 or something. But yeah, it's kind of legendary for being the first mockumentary.
Yeah.
And that genre is so overused now that people I don't think people even know what it is. I was trying to explain to my nephew when I showed him these figures what a mockumentary was. And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm kind of like, you know, if you watch like The Office and they're like talking to the camera, like it's like that's integrated into so many shows, like reality TV. They always do their little cutaways and everything. But like when they did that with Spinal Tap, it was just so original at the time. Anyway, I love it. So yeah, all 3 guys are here. And their most iconic outfits. So this is like Nigel Tufnell in his radioactive skeleton t-shirt. And the sculpts are nice.
Like that guitar detail is excellent.
Yeah, he's got flames on the guitar. Now,
sorry.
Yeah, I have to edit out a lot of your coughs of these videos.
I don't want to sidetrack this, but I think I know what it is.
Yeah?
I'm allergic to cats.
Okay.
And I think it's poor Buster.
I have a cat. I usually don't let him in this room for obvious reasons.
Because it only seems to happen when we're recording.
Yeah.
As frequently as it does.
I don't know if you saw... Because like these are all on my channel technically, and I post these and everything. So I don't know if you see all the comments or if you... But like somebody commented on a video recently, and they were like... They're like 58 minutes in. They're like, Jesus Christ, it scared the shit out of me. Because yeah, you did that. You turned and you coughed into your mic, and it was just like. This...
I did apologize for that. But
yeah,
on the comment, but yeah, it's.
I try to edit them out, but sometimes you do it right when I'm saying something, and then it's like, well, it's just gonna stay. So whatever.
Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, nice guitar. Now, I think the scene where he's talking about the amps, that's another famous scene. I won't bother going through it all, but anyway, their amps go to 11. That's a joke. But and on the card art for these guys, on the back of the card art, there's a bunch. It's like the top of an amp, and you see all the dials, and they all have an 11 on there. But in that scene, he's kind of showing the documentarian his guitars. And I think he has a special guitar where he says something like, "Oh, don't touch that. No, nobody ever touches that," or something. I don't think it was a yellow flaming guitar. I think it was more traditional wood grain guitar. So maybe it would have been funny to give him that particular guitar. I'll be honest, when I see this yellow guitar with the red flame, it's not immediately recognizable to me as something that he plays in the movie, but I'm sure that it probably is. Anyway, fun figure. And I love that these figures have guitar straps.
Yeah.
Because I have a bunch of figures with guitars. Like I have a bunch of the Rancid reaction figures, and they all have guitars, but their hands are all sculpted the same way. They have one hand like this, so you can rest the neck of the guitar, but then their other hand is like this, so you can kind of place it in front of the strings, but it doesn't really hold the guitar. So you got the whole long guitar just resting in the one hand like this, and if you bump the figure, it drops the guitar and stuff. So yeah, having these straps around the guitar is a really nice upgrade. So yeah, you can see I've got Nigel here, and I've got him on my reaction figure stand. He looks nice. David St. Hubbins, the lead singer. He wears this outfit in the movie. An odd choice for, they're supposed to be kind of making fun of 70s, 80s hair metal bands. And this kind of like pearlescent, like jogging suit does not seem like something that a rocker would really wear, but he does. And he's got a nice little guitar too, all white.
Like the nice rip-off Adidas.
Yeah. Little running shoes. And then this dude here, like this
is the guy when I think of Spinal Tap. This is who I think of.
And he looks more like, this is the best example of them kind of making fun of bands like Judas Priest or something, because he's got all these like spiky leather straps on him and stuff. He's got a nice blue guitar. Probably the funniest scene with this guy in the movie is when he tries to go through the airport and he sets off metal detector because he has a cucumber wrapped in tinfoil stuffed into his pants. Anyway, I think that movie's hilarious. I think these figures are great because this is the kind of property that I think reaction figures are perfect for. I don't really need like a 6-inch super detailed version of these guys, and I don't need a 12-inch doll with cloth clothing and stuff like. But to get a little reaction figure to put in my collection to show my love of this movie, but and the likenesses are pretty good even for such a small little figure. Yeah, this is great representation for Spinal Tap in my collection. I'm thrilled to have those guys. Yeah, I'm surprised to hear that you are not a fan.
Well, I was young when I watched the movie. I think I was like 14, so wasn't really my cup of tea back then.
Yeah. Funny thing is, like, I'm somebody that feels, and I think we all, I don't know if anybody feels old inside. We all feel like we're young still. Nothing makes me feel older than young people, though.
Like young people now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So, like, I work remotely. Most of my team I have to talk to, we use MS Teams, but like, Zoom, for those of you not familiar with MS Teams, same idea. So every day at work, I have to get on Zoom and talk to my coworkers, and a lot of them are moms and dads. Some of them I think are grandparents, and so I am kind of the kid of the group. Mind you, I am 46 years old,
But yet you're not.
No, I am. I'm 46. 40.
Aren't you turning 46 in January?
No, 46 now. Yeah. Remember that? I don't know. Whatever. I'm 46.
I thought you were born in 78.
Yeah, January 78.
Oh, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're confusing me. I think I'm 46.
You are 46.
So anyway, yeah, I am not a kid, but at the same time, compared to the lives of a lot of my coworkers who have to deal with kids and all this other stuff, I'm like, eh. So I still go to concerts and I do young things when they often don't. And they all know I collect, and they all kind of get a bit of a laugh out of it. I have shared with them images of my toy room here and everything. So literally I was in a team meeting when my box from Super 7 arrived. And I was like, oh, sorry guys, somebody's at my door. I'll be right back. So I ran off. And I came back. And they're like, oh, well, Mike, we're going to wrap up here anyway. So, yeah, we can just sign off unless you had anything else you wanted to share. And I said, no, not really, unless you guys wanted to see my new toys and do an unboxing. And they're like, yeah, show us what you got. Show us what you got. So I'm on camera in my team meeting. And I'm opening up this box. And I'm like, so first off, I got Spinal Tap figures. And some of the people on my team were like, oh, nice. They're like, I love that movie. We have a girl on my team that's 20 years old. And I'm just
Spinal Tap.
Yeah, I get this look from her a lot. Like, she has no idea what I'm talking about ever. So I'm talking about Spinal Tap, and like she's just got the blankest, like, what the hell is a Spinal Tap? And then I said, so besides them, then I also got my Conan the Barbarian figures from another movie that's from like 1980 or 81 or something. And she's just like, you know, and again, I have to explain to her like what these are. And I'm like, have you heard of either of these movies? And she's like, no, I have no idea what they are. And I'm telling her, I'm like, well, this is the first mockumentary, and you know, it's you know, this is, and she's again looking at me like not understanding me, and I'm just like, man, you went from making me feel young because everybody else is laughing at me about what a big kid I am with my toys, except for the 120-year-old who's in the corner of my screen looking at me like, what's this old man doing? Anyway, lovely girl though, so no fault of her own that she's only 20. Anyway, so yeah, besides the Spinal Tap figures, I also got these Conan the Barbarian figures. Now, I talked about Conan very recently because I recently got a Super 7 Ultimate figure of Thulsa Doom, which is the villain in the first Conan movie. Yeah, played by James Earl Jones. Rest in peace. So I reviewed that figure in like a video not too long ago. But anyway, with the reaction figures, they did a wave, the first ever wave of Conan reaction figures. I think it was probably last year, if not maybe very early this year. There were 3 figures in wave 1. And I was like, I didn't know, I wanted Conan figures. But the Conan they put out was Pit Fighter Conan. Mm. And that's a very brief montage at the start of the movie.
Yeah, that wasn't very long.
Yeah, it's like it shows him kind of in the gladiator pit fighting other guys, but it's literally a montage that lasts a couple of minutes. And and they change his outfit in a different scene. So even he doesn't even wear this outfit throughout the whole montage. So in part of the montage, he's wearing like a full furry vest, a helmet that sits low on his face with like little spikes around it, and he's got these gauntlets, like swords, like little handheld, I don't know, knives or something that he fights with. So the Wave 1 Conan had this helmet low on his head, had the furry vest. It's not the look that I think of when I think of Conan. And I'm like, well, what if they don't make any more figures past this wave? I'm like, I don't want that Conan figure. Nobody will know who he is in my collection. And then the other figure they made was Subotai, which is Conan's like sidekick in the movie. And it was a nice figure of Subotai in his most iconic look, the look he has when you first meet him in the movie. But he's obviously secondary to me. I'm like, it's not like I'm going to buy Subotai and not have Conan. And then the other figure was Thulsa Doom. So for me, Thulsa Doom in his armor, that was the figure like, well, I want that one. But again, I don't want to just have a Thulsa Doom. So I ended up not buying any of them, which is partly why when that Thulsa Doom Ultimates came around, I was like, well, I have to buy it because I want a Thulsa Doom in my collection. I still don't know if I'm ever going to get the reaction figure one. So I pre-ordered the Thulsa Doom Ultimate, and I got him. Very happy I got him. He's great. But in the meantime, since I pre-ordered that, they announced Wave 2 of Conan the Barbarian. And I love Wave 2 because in the movie, there is one particular scene where Conan and his allies have to break into a temple. And to do that, they put on this war paint camouflage to go in. I actually have an ultimate figure of war paint Conan in the 7-inch scale, and it's a really nice figure. But even though it is only one scene in a movie, it's like maybe the best scene in the movie, in my opinion. And I love the look of him all painted up in war paint. So, sure, it still might not be Conan's most iconic look, but it's maybe one of my favorite looks for Conan. So Wave 2 consisted of war paint Conan here, and I think he looks great. Like, even the likeness to Arnold Schwarzenegger looks pretty good for such a small, little, simple figure.
100%.
And they had war paint Subotai. So now I get Conan's little sidekick in his war paint, so they go together as a nice little pair. And thirdly, we get the first ever in this line Valeria action figure in her war paint. So these were the three of them that broke in together and wore the war paint. So the fact that they put all three of them in one wave together and didn't like space them out or anything had me like excited to buy the whole wave of figures. And so once I knew these guys were coming, so I ordered from Super7, and Super7, okay, you'll have it next week. I was like, well, now I can't have three heroes come and not have a bad guy. Because in my head, I still like, I think of these like I'm going to play with them, even though I'm not. Because, you know, who cares if I have three heroes and not a bad guy? Well, and you're making faces. But trust me, I wish I could play
I know, me too.
I wish I was childish enough to actually sit here and go, boop, boop, but I don't.
It's funny. That's what people think of, like, adult toy collectors, though, is you sit around and play with them all. No.
Yeah. But still, in my head, we talked about this a little bit in our last video, but like, when I'm buying toys, I have to kind of justify my head canon a little bit, like the storyline. Like, why do I have these two Spider-Man on my shelf together? It's like, well, because they're from alternate universes or blah, blah, blah. So in my head canon, I've got these three Conan heroic characters. I'm like, I want to have a villain to be here with them when I get them and put them on my shelf. So anyway, I went and bought the Wave 1 Thulsa Doom from Amazon, and Amazon got them to me within 2 days. So he actually beat them here by a day, I think. Yeah, so I got them essentially all together. And now that I have, even if they never make any more figures, I'm tempted to maybe go back and get the Pit Fighter Conan and the Wave 1 Subotai as well. Especially if they continue with another wave of Conan figures, and maybe they'll give me Thulsa Doom in his ceremonial outfit.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll give me Conan in his more iconic pose outfit. In which case, I'm like, okay, well now the world's expanding. I'm getting multiple versions of multiple characters. So yeah, then it would make more sense for me to go back and try to get those other versions. But yeah, I think they're all pretty good. Thulsa Doom here, I like his little, I think it's vinyl.
I was just wondering what. Yeah.
Because when you bought those old Star Wars figures in the 70s, this is exactly what Obi-Wan's cape was made out of. It's just this flimsy little fruit roll-up of a cape. So yeah, it's true to the style of action figure, even if it is a little goofy. It's kind of perfect. So yeah, I think they're all pretty great. So I will continue to buy these reaction figures, continue to buy the display bases, and yeah, I think that's pretty much all. Anything you want to talk about with any of these guys?
Not really. I think the Conan ones are cool.
Yeah, because the only reaction figures you have some G.I. Joe ones.
G.I. Joe and Turtles.
And Turtles, right. Is there any other brands that you would be interested in this style of figure?
Inspector Gadget.
Interesting.
Astro Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Inspector Gadget and Astro Boy. I know they started putting out Sesame Street ones. I think I have the Ernie and Bert ones.
Yeah.
On pre-order. Just
nice.
I was always an Ernie kind of guy, but
yeah, I'm glad. I wouldn't have you over here if you were a Bert kind of guy.
Yeah, Bert's no fun.
No.
Stop eating the cookies on the bed. Family Guy. Anyways,
it's all good.
Yeah,
I never understand your Family Guy references. Which it's fun. It's funny that I don't understand your Family Guy references because I might have said this on another episode before too. But when I first met my wife, she loved Family Guy.
Yeah. And
I wasn't a fan. And then we would sit down and watch it together, and she would laugh at all the jokes. And I was like, oh, yeah, that is kind of funny. They're doing that thing from Back to the Future.
Yeah.
And she'd be like, what? I'm like, that whole thing, the flux capacitor, that's from Back to the Future. And she'd be like, oh, I've never seen it. And I realized when I watched it with her, she was laughing at all the things where she was supposed to laugh, but she didn't understand any of the references because that show is just reference after reference.
Yeah. Hey, it's like that time where, and then
yeah, and she just would laugh at it at face value. I'm like, don't you see what he's doing there? That's like, that's from The Matrix.
So
that's from whatever. But yeah, she never seen any of these movies, or certainly didn't remember these things were from those movies. So yeah, now it's ironic that I don't get your references from the Family Guy, I guess.
Okay, well, that's okay.
Yeah. But yeah, you were just mentioning the Sesame Street reaction figures, and I don't know why, but I kind of find myself wanting them. I did pre-order and then I ended up canceling it. But the aliens,
yeah,
yep.
Oh.
So you got the two of them in one pack together.
Yeah,
and then I also the Cookie Monster.
Yeah,
the Big Bird, the Oscar the Grouch. He's stuck in the garbage can. Like, I'm not by any means like, I grew up on Sesame Street like any kid of our generation. I don't really get nostalgic for it. I don't have any plush, Big Birds or anything. Like, if I never saw a Sesame Street thing again, I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
But I do collect reaction figures, and just seeing those characters in reaction figures,
I think it's the charm. That's the charm.
Yeah, I'm like, why do I want this Cookie Monster? Yeah. Like, that's silly. But I find myself wanting it. They have another line I'm trying to think of that I also feel myself kind of roped in by. But like, I have some of the cereal guys. They're not actually by Super7, but I have Tony the Tiger and Toucan Sam. They were made by a company called Plastic Meatball, but it's the same style of figures. And again, you're like, you don't need a Tony the Tiger action figure, but
but he's great.
Exactly. So yeah, I do love these style figures. I wish they were cheaper because they look and feel like they should be cheaper. If these things were $15, I would have so many more of them.
Yeah, they increased in price recently too, didn't they? Because they used to be $15.99 at one point, and then they went up to $19.99. Toys R Us was selling them for $22.99, and they're at like $28.99 now, aren't they?
Yeah, I think you might be remembering it wrong, because I think they started at $19.99 at best. Even when you say Toys R Us selling them for $22, that's like their sale price. That's them trying to sell off their
stock,
G.I. Joe stock that's been there for years now. But yeah, these things have never been cheap from the get-go. They have gone up a bit, but because these figures now cost like $30 at least.
Like full size,
and then plus tax. And we here in Nova Scotia pay 15% tax. So a figure that's $29.99, we pay $34.50 for. But a lot of times they're priced even higher than that. And when you buy them, like these ones here, these guys probably cost me about $40 each, because I ordered them from Super7, so I had to pay for shipping, and I had to pay customs charges when they crossed the border. So yeah,
and conversion.
Yeah, so they're not cheap. They should be. But yeah, there's still a couple of brands that I would love to see in this style. Like, I think James Bond would be a really fun reaction figure line, because that's the kind of line where a lot of the characters maybe wouldn't warrant me buying a 6-inch action figure and then get their whole shelf in my collection.
Jaws.
Yeah, well, Jaws is maybe at least one of the more interesting figures. But
a lot of Sandy.
But like guys like Goldfinger or Dr. No, those guys aren't super interesting. They don't have a gimmick. Like, at least Oddjob and Jaws are kind of interesting to look at. But a bunch of the Bonds and a bunch of the Bond villains would just be guys in suits. And I wouldn't really want a shelf full of 6-inch, highly detailed, guys in suits. But I think they'd be really cool in the reaction figure line.
I would love to see, going back to the franchise, I would love to see them do, if they're doing a Bond, do an Austin Powers one too.
Yeah, that could be fun. You can mix and match. Another one, I think we've talked about this before on some of our year-end episodes, where we talk about our wish lists and stuff. And we talked about like which Marvel Legends would we hope for this year, and which G.I. Joes. I've said before with reaction figures, the James Bond thing is something. And one of my all-time favorite movies is Young Guns, the Western movie from like the 80s that had Emilio Estevez as Billy the Kid and Kiefer Sutherland. Like, all these young, hot actors at the time. They were all some of my favorites. Young Guns, too, I love almost just as much. And yeah, they've never made Young Guns specific figures, not even Funko Pops. So I would really like to see them as reaction figures. But yeah, you could put almost any brand in this style, and I would be at least tempted to buy it. Anyway, we've already shot. This is our 3rd episode tonight, so we might as well wrap things up. Yeah, anything more?
No, I don't think so.
All right. So like, subscribe, comment. Ciao.
Keep collecting.